I've developed this simple yet remarkably effective technique that has enabled me to not only survive in stressful situations, but really thrive when the pressure hits. And I want to share it with you because if you're like me, growing up, you always used to want to avoid stress. I always felt like if I had an exam coming up, I can't wait for the summer holidays when the stress of that is over and I can finally be free and happy. I used to think that avoiding stress was the key to happiness, and a stressful life is an unhappy life. But as I've started to grow and really mature, I've realized that to achieve the upper echelons of life, true success, you need to be able to actually embrace stress and perform in it. In the Chicago Bulls run of the 90s, who had more stress, Steve Kerr or Michael Jordan? Clearly Michael Jordan. But who ended up getting the real merits of the achievement? Who's remembered 20, 30 years down the line as being one of the greatest basketball players of all time? Michael Jordan. When you look at any sort of company, who has more stress? The normal employee or the CEO? The CEO. But at the end of the year, who has more digits on their paycheck? Someone said that money making is just another form of stress tolerance. And it's starting to make sense now. Because even if I am just cutting someone's grass, I'm taking away the stress from them of having an unpleasant garden or doing that chore themselves. And in return, they are paying me. So the more stress you can take on and tolerate will directly correlate to how much money you're going to be able to make and how much you're going to be able to achieve in every facet of life. Because in every facet of life, you are going to exhibit some form of stress, especially if you want to reach the upper echelons, the top of the top, the creme de la creme. Even in bodybuilding, it's stress going on a diet, it's stress lifting that much weight day after day, but that's the price to pay for greatness. And so when I realized that, I understood that I can't keep running away from stress. I can't expect to become a quality individual and not be able to deal with stress in one form or another. And so rather than running away from stress, I've decided to learn a technique that enables me to thrive under pressure. And I've been doing it a lot throughout this conversation, and that is to smile through the stress. And the reason you're meant to smile through it is because I've understood something very important about stress and pressure in general. If we boil it down to first principles and physics, stress is equal to the force over a given area. It's why if two people take a step and one's wearing a normal sneaker or trainer, or one person's wearing a stiletto heel, the stiletto heel will have more of a stress than the sneaker because it's over a smaller given area if the same force is exerted. That's all stress is, force over a given area. It's just like speed is equal to distance over time. It's how far you've traveled over a particular time slot. You might be as slow as a snail, you might be as fast as a fighter jet. You're still moving at a speed. And when I realized that, I understood that in order for there to be stress, you have to exert some kind of force. You have to make a stamp on the universe. Whether that means creating content to publish onto YouTube, Instagram, whether that means going to the gym and lifting weights, whether that means calling a client for your new online business, you're making a stamp on the universe. You're putting your force out there and hoping in return to get something back. And therefore you induce stress. And anyone that knows Newton's third law knows that any action has an equal and opposite reaction. So if I'm putting out force onto the earth, if I'm going to the gym and trying to lift weight, if I'm going to publish content on YouTube to try and make money, if I'm going to call up clients to try and land a business deal so I can grow my wealth and grow my company, that's me exerting a force onto the universe. And the universe has to exert an equal and opposite reaction back onto me. But what is that reaction? That reaction is stress. And that's something I've really started to realize. So whenever I'm trying to make a positive impact on my life, the universe's response is stress. And maybe you will start to realize this too. Whenever you try to do something important or something meaningful that will improve your life in one way or another, you get hit with stress and pressure. And the universe telling you, stop, don't do that. Go back to sitting and watching Netflix. You see, the universe only works because there's a balance. There's a yin and a yang. There's only rich people because there's poor people. There's only healthy people because there's unhealthy people. There has to be a balance. Not everyone that calls up their first client is going to get a business deal. Not everyone that goes gym for 1 week is going to build a ripped physique. That's not the case. There has to be a reward. There has to be struggle in order for it to be achieved. There's no stress in sitting down and watching Netflix. There's stress in building a business, managing people, creating content on a schedule, That's where the stress comes in, because that's meaningful work that's going to propel you above the norm, above what was expected from you. So every time I get stressed now, I smile because I know I'm doing something right. I'm hitting the universe where it hurts, and their response mechanism is throwing me stress. If they're throwing me stress, I'm doing something right. I'm moving in the right direction. And if I can roll with the punches, if I can get knocked down but stand straight back up and keep throwing punches and moving forward, and keep getting hit with more stress and more stress, I know I'm going in the right direction, and that's the universe keep trying to wear me down and break me down. And eventually it will. Eventually it will. You will reach a point where you can't do it anymore. You can't. That might be the point of retirement age, or that might be the point of death. It's different for each person. But the point is, stress will always be present whenever you try to make a meaningful impact in this world. So if you spend your life trying to avoid stressful situations, adapt that mindset. Understand that whenever you are feeling some kind of stress, it's a good thing, because adversity is necessary for achievement. As Monty Williams said, you won't find pressure on the beach. Those of you that thrive under pressure and realize that pressure is important and is actually the obstacle in the way of you achieving success, and that's the universe setting up the bad guys. Like if it was a video game and you're the main character, the stress, the obstacles, that is the universe setting it in your way as checkpoints for you to get past to achieve on your road to greatness. When you start to really realize that and understand that stress is the only defense mechanism this world has against us achieving greatness, you really start to realize that the best thing you can do is smile through it and understand that if I'm feeling stress, if I'm feeling pressure, I'm doing something right and I need to do it more. It's that old adage, the results we want are in the work we don't want to do or the work we've been avoiding. And that is a perfect example, right? If we really want to achieve the top prizes of this world, if we really want to be a successful individual and be remembered as such, you have to undergo some kind of stress. You have to do things meaningful that other people look at and go, wow, they've achieved that. They're under so much stress, but they continue to thrive, because that's what makes greatness. And look, having heard this conversation, you may be sitting there thinking, I don't really want to undergo that sort of stress. And that's okay, because in order for there to be balance, there has to be some people that thrive and go above the others. And for those people, they need to undergo stress. But in order for that to be an achievement, others have to shy away from stress. So it's not meant for everyone. Entrepreneurship, bodybuilding, as cliche as it sounds, it's hard for a reason, and not everyone's willing to undergo that sort of stress. But if you do want to be a real successful individual, do understand that in one way or another, stress is going to find you along your path, and you have to learn to smile through it, live through it, battle through it, and thrive through it. Remember, you are the only person that can make it happen, but you are also the only person that can mess it all up.